Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our weekly video. You know, Bela and I got back from a little vacation. We came back this morning, and I had asked my neighbor to water our tomato plants while we were gone. And somehow he must have missed them out, because when we came back, this little guy here was all disheveled. You see those leaves are kind of wilting a little bit. I gave them a lot of water, and these basil have sprung back. This one here too. I love growing plants in the summer, which reminds me of this week's Torah portion. You guessed it. In fact, in this parsha, the Torah says the second portion of the Shema. And it says, if you listen to the commandments, pay attention, love God, and serve God and so on, you will get the rain in the right time. You will have abundance of crop. So I'm trying to do a lot of mitzvahs to get a lot of tomatoes. But in all seriousness, I want to spend a couple of minutes talking about the Shema. So last week, the Shema, we focused on the idea of one God and love God. And of course, there's also mention of teaching our children and the tefillin and mezuzah. But there's a big emphasis on the Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, one God. There's a principle of faith. We said that God is the only thing, the only entity, and everything, the entire universe is just an expression of the divine, and so on. But the Torah says in our parsha, in a longer section, and that makes up the second part of the Shema. And there it also says you should say these words in the morning and in the evening, when you rise and when you lay down, which is why we have those two sections of the Shema. We'll talk about the third section maybe next week, or I'll try to get something at the end over here. So we have two parts of the Shema. So what's the difference? Well, the longer one is what we call the acceptance of mitzvahs. So the first section of the Shema is the acceptance of faith. God exists. Hashem Echad, one God. In the second section of the Shema, it's about the acceptance of the mitzvahs. We have to accept the mitzvahs. So what's going on over here? So I got a couple of notes that I wrote down. Okay. You know, people tell me sometimes, Rabbi, I'm a Jew at heart. I love God. I love Israel. I love the Jewish people. I feel so strong, so connected. I've got it all in here. That's like the first section of the Shema. God is one. You should love God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. I'll give my money. I'll give charity to support Israel and institutions on Chabad House. That's only the first section of the Shema. The second section says you got to do the mitzvahs. And if you do the mitzvahs, you'll be blessed with an abundance of rain that will provide for you, will provide for your family. That's one point. God, you can't just be a Jew at heart. The second point is an interesting anomaly between the first section of the Shema and the second. Last week, in the first section of the Shema, it tells us you should teach these to your children, and recite them in the morning and the evening, and then you should put on the tefillin and do the mezuzah. So we've got teaching, and then the individual mitzvahs, tefillin and mezuzah. In the second section, it tells us first about tefillin, then it tells us teach it to your children and learn these words. Why the difference? So this is the genius of the Rebbe. And one of the major ideas of Chabad is as follows. People sometimes tell me, Rabbi, first I got to learn. First, I've got to learn why and how, and then I'm going to do the mitzvahs. Well, there's something to be said for that. There's no question that when we are children, we start with teaching. It's also true. But we also start with doing. We don't wait till we become knowledgeable. The Torah says first the mitzvah tefillin, and then it tells us teach it to your children. Go ahead. Do the mitzvahs. Get them going. You'll learn. No problem. Take out the books. Go online. Chabad.org or this website or that website. You want to learn Gesundheit. It's a great idea. But don't let that get in the way of doing mitzvahs. You got to do the mitzvahs, and then the learning will follow. That's really the whole philosophy of why Chabad, we do the Tefillin campaign and Mezuzah campaign, and we'll give out Shabbos candles to women and so on, even if they haven't studied all the laws or the why and the how, because the Torah wants us to do the mitzvahs no matter what. So a little meditation when we read the second section of the Shema is perhaps, how do I incorporate the action of Judaism into my life? What mitzvahs can I add on a regular basis? How can I grow in that? And also to see that as I grow in mitzvahs, there's beautiful blessings that come along with it. The abundance of prosperity, the abundance of all the good things in life that are promised in the Torah for doing the mitzvahs. I wish you a Shabbat Shalom, and looking forward to sharing some delicious red tomatoes, maybe next week. In any event, we'll see you soon.